Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the member show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, GuMPers.
Oh, that's not meant to be there just yet. Hola, bom dia, alegria, Munson here. Oh, the Munson's here, I see. Mrs. M's in the living room, snuck upon me like that, like Kato in the Pink Panther movies. Don't do that, Mrs. M. And very good morning to you, bom dia, alegria. Tudo bem? Como estás? How is everybody this morning? Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. A couple of, not lurkers exactly, but people new to the morning environment, or infrequent visitors, I should say. The Global Nobles are here, everybody. That's a great name, isn't it? Bon dia, todos. Are you guys still in the UK? Where are you, if you don't mind me asking? And Mike Campion, Mike and Maggie. Bon dia, alegria. Been a while bouncing between the Netherlands and Canada while finalising the Portugal move for Q1. That sounds very financial, doesn't it? Q1 in 2023 in the annual report. Hope all are well. Great to see you, Mike and Maggie, and the Global Nobles with us this morning. As we are also.
Do you know what? I thought the Global Nobles were in America. I was pretty sure. I mean, I might be wrong.
Yeah,
Good morning, everyone, by the way.
They normally are, but they are touring Europe at the moment.
Ah, okay.
Yes, and we might talk about how American tourists from the Portugal resident this morning continue to set new records in Portugal. There have never been so many American tourists in Portugal, according to Michael Brujo from the 15th of November in the Portugal resident. Over 2,000, sorry, no, that's not right, over 204,000 American tourists visited Portugal just in September, the highest number ever recorded in a single month, according to the latest data revealed by the National Statistics Institute, the INE. We might come back to that because that's interesting. Other migration news that may be of interest as well, not so much for the Americans, but I think for Brits visiting Portugal. Spain apparently want to eliminate the 90-day limit for UK visitors, allowing them to stay in the country indefinitely, as they were previously allowed to do before Brexit. That's interesting, isn't it?
Does that mean that people could spend 3 months in Portugal, then nip over to Spain and then come back again without having to return to the UK?
No. Well, possibly. That's the interesting thing about this particular story. I really don't like calling the news stories, but I suppose it is all made up and they are all stories in a way. As you know, Mrs. M. Let me bring this onto the screen, because I think this is interesting, what's going on. It's the EU, and I suppose you could argue, oh, maybe we shouldn't straight away. 5 minutes into the show,
we'll argue
about Brexit and you know what happened. I suppose if we stick to the facts rather than what we think about them, we can let other people get upset about it, can't we? Spain looking to scrap the 90-day rule. Leaving the EU means that the Brits can only visit for 90 days at a time. It's the same for Portugal. That's why I mention it, because of course, post Brexit, if you didn't become a Portuguese resident, you can only stay here for 90 days. And some people wanted to stay here for 6 months of the year, didn't they? They wanted to be the swallows, the snowbirds, the mare delights, as I call them, half here, half there. And that became difficult and quite unattractive, frankly, for people who'd invested in property, not wanting to become residents, but just enjoying the free movement that the EU brought before Brexit. And now Spain, because of the impact it's having on their economy, presumably, are saying, well, we just want to let Brits stay indefinitely. Sorry if that sounds like a load of entitled British talk for people who aren't British, but it's quite interesting how that impact might happen or that move may happen in Portugal as well. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, that everything is made up, not just the news, but the politics as well, and the government laws. They don't like the impact that it's having in Spain, so they're saying, well, we might just not do that, which casts a very interesting light on everything that goes on when it comes to migration. I can tell something's caught your eye on the screen elsewhere. Are you looking at the comments already? Are you wanting to squeeze that toothpaste tube in the middle? And you've frozen as well. Oh, she's frozen, everybody. Okay.
Owen, the link is in your Facebook Messenger.
Oh, okay. Suddenly you disappeared. And now you came back giving Owen instructions. Okay, Owen, that's great. That's a really good service.
I noticed that Owen was missing the link, so I just went ahead and sent it to him.
How errant of me. Yes, he is our guest at 9, of course, so it would be quite useful for him to have that link. Bon dia, Carl and GuMPers from an out dry Belfast. Let's look at, well, we've done a little bit of news. Let's do a bit of weather. I was out with the dogs this morning, and it's very mild, but it is continuing to rain here in San Martino de Porto. So if you're coming to the meetup at lunchtime, we'll be inside watching the low scudding clouds, I think they're called, across the bay, and the waves crashing at the mouth of the bay from the safety of Bohemia. I imagine we'll be back at Palmera in December, but for the time being, we're in the lovely, welcoming bosom. It's become more welcoming in there, I think.
It hasn't traditionally been that welcoming, has it?
It's not been very bosomous in there, has it? It's been more of a shoulder than a bosom. But I think we have moved anatomically somewhat to the south and to the east or west, whichever way you look at it. And we are now in their bosom. So join us from 1 till 3.
I think you're actually...
What?
Yes, you have gone south.
Thank you, as bosoms tend to do. But bon dia, Carl and GuMPers from an out dry Belfast with its fresh, chilly start of 5 degrees. Will be a dry, cold few days. Friday going to be cold, 4-degree day, and -3 overnight. Brr, homemade soup stew weather. I'm sure Owen, he continues, could give us an easy-made Portuguese warm winter meal. He may well do that, so I'm going to star that comment and come back to it. We have got a number of questions for Owen. He's talking about his year with us. We've been talking once a month about Portuguese food and wine and culture for a year now. We're celebrating that by casting a glance back over the last year of us getting together and celebrating the Portuguese food that we love. You and I might talk about that Paraqui cafe that a neighborhood cafe we went to a couple of days ago.
Yes, that was good.
Would you like to do that? Or would you like to read the comments, which I'm sure you're already doing?
I have been doing a little bit of both. Yes. You know, like thinking about food. I am quite hungry. Haven't eaten yet.
You've been up since about 3 o'clock this morning.
I've actually been up since 4.
Right.
I am actually quite jangled. So I think you're better off reading actually than I am.
Okay. Do you need?
I'll be like this.
Can I bring you one of these, a medicinal Beryl, to help you get through the rest?
I'll come up and get one, okay, and then go back to bed. I think
that sounds like a great idea. Okay.
No, we went for a lovely little charming meal, which happened just at the right time. You know, when you're, I don't know, you just want something that tastes like grandma's cooking.
Yeah.
Well, we found a really lovely place on the outskirts of Caldas de Rainha that tasted like grandma's cooking. And she wasn't exactly a grandma. She wasn't quite old enough. I'm guessing that was the owner that was serving us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say so. Given that, I mean, talking about bosoms and shoulders, it was more at the shoulder end of things, wasn't it? She was pretty brusque, I have to say. And
she was quite brusque.
And
it took her a while to crack a smile, didn't it?
Yeah.
She was like a slightly grumpy matriarch.
Yes, she was.
But she knew her stuff. You know, she knew what she was doing. Her staff all knew where they were going, and the food arrived really, really quickly, and it was really tasty as well. And she just had it going on, you know, asking about, you know, if we needed extra help, you know, sort of really thinking for us, which was really kind.
It was
a good meal. It was tasty and it was plentiful. I would recommend it. What was it called?
Paraqui. In Caldas de Rainha, near the Rei dos Frangos chain of chicken.
It's opposite Lidl's, or one of the Lidl's in
one of the many
Caldas de
Lidl's in Caldas de Rainha. There seems to be a Lidl around every corner in Caldas de Rainha. If you're a Lidl fan, you might want to consider it to move there. But what I was hoping for that day, feeling slightly under the weather, as it's quite easy to do. The weather is constantly upon us. Raining down, it would seem. I was thinking to myself, I need something to comfort myself and my family today. And I suggested to you, didn't I, that let's go somewhere in a neighborhood where we can get a prato do dia. We're going to go to the shopping center where you can get a sense of some home cooked food, but obviously it's cooked.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's just not the same. And then I thought, I know, I'll just drive into this neighborhood here on the outskirts of Caldas. And I think there might be a little cafe there, because there is, isn't there, pretty much in every neighborhood.
Well, there's about 3 or 4 cafes, and we walked
out when you scratch the
past them all.
Yeah.
But you know, this one was the one that looked most welcoming. It had the most amount of Portuguese people all in there for lunch.
Yes,
as is usual with us, the Munsons, we tend to go out at just the wrong time. So, like when we go to parks, it's just as everyone's leaving, or
maybe
just
that's
as
why
we're
she was
leaving,
a
everyone
bit
turns up.
Yes, it maybe that's why
Yeah,
the lady
maybe.
was
I mean,
nasty.
we got there. Must have been at the end of the main drag of lunch. And
Yes,
so there was only really one table free, wasn't there? You know, there was a
that's right.
reserved one and then the one we
That's
took.
right. Yeah.
But I always think it's good to find one of these places that the locals love. And yeah, it was good. And by the end, she was really warm. I mean, I accidentally got out some, I paid her in cash. And because it's damp, the money was stuck together and I hadn't noticed. I had a 3-year-old wriggling in my arms and I paid her double what what I was meant to. So, she discovered it straight away and was like handing it back. She didn't have to do that. Bless her.
Para aqui means stop here, and I recommend you do that. It's a small
definitely.
cafe restaurant, and we had the bifes de frangos, which was the first point of her slight irritation, I think, in trying to explain. I did ask if there was a prato do dia, and then she said to me, a bife de frangos, and explained some of the accoutrement. And then she went onto her phone for an extended time. I thought she was looking at Google Translate.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what she was doing.
She found a photograph of the food, which turned out to be lovely chicken steaks on the grill with some herby roasted potatoes, which the kids loved, and a kind of dry ratatouille-esque type mixture, a melange of vegetables. And then afterwards I had because I wanted that heartwarming, bone-warming food, grandma cooked food, I went for the arroz doce, the rice pudding, cold rice pudding, it has to be said, in Portugal. Maybe they can warm it up with a steam pipe on the coffee machine, although maybe it'll go all over the
That's a thought, isn't it?
It's a thought. I may ask if they can do that. Okay. Yay, food chat. Absolutely, Darren. And we are waiting for you and your food channel. You know where to come when you're ready to promote that. And we would love to hear about what you do in the kitchen. I mean, cooking wise, that is. Morning, Darren. And thank you.
We did once have a friend, didn't we, who went on one of those cooking shows. What was that cooking show called?
Yeah.
Yes. There was what's that cooking show where you invite a load of strangers around to your house?
Yes.
Huh? Dinner date, is it called? No.
No, but it's with the and here we are. We have naked people around the table now, and they are
no, they weren't all naked. So like there were 5
she?
people who all lived in the same town, and they all had to take it in turns cooking a different meal for each other on a different day, and they all had to rate each other's cooking. And one of our friends, like someone from long ago, come dine with me. That's it. Thank you, Darren. So we one day saw her episode from Portugal, and she'd actually cooked the whole menu naked, like absolutely naked, and all of the people were really that, she, was completely naked while she was like crushing strawberries with her bare hands, and God knows what else happened.
Yes, and some of the guests were hoping that she had snooded up a little during food preparation. I think. Yes,
but I don't think there was any nakedness in Parakeet. I think it was very above board.
Definitely. Put the cream. Well, as they say, welcome to you as well this morning. How are you doing? Put the cream where exactly, Zeze?
I must say I feel a bit bad because people are talking about temperatures here, there, and everywhere, and I really it's funny that you just put up about being moist in Lisbon. A comment from Pete. Yes. We must learn how to convert the temperatures between the UK temperature scheme of things and the US, because I have customers talking to me about their temperature, and I kind of go, yeah.
It's so easy.
That sounds interesting, and I never know what temperature they're actually talking about. So we can do a handy little temperature guide.
I'm going to teach you. I am your handy little temperature guide. You know that. And I'm about to show you how to do that. I'm surprised.
I can't stick you in my pocket though, can I?
You can give it a go after the show. I think we should try that. No, we should try that live on air. Maybe. And now, Carl,
do it with a nice little tot of whatever it's called.
Beral. I'm going to have some Beral.
Yeah,
Owen, I'm having Beral because there was an offer on at the supermarket to do with sangria. Maybe we could talk about sangria as well as we go into the winter and desperately hold on to the summer. But I'm going to show you now. It's easy, Mrs. M. Look, you can see the comparison here. And what you do is you double it and add 30 is the way of converting the temperatures. So if we look at the Lisbon weather now, which I shall bring onto the screen, you can see it there. It's 16 degrees. Would you like to do it in your finest weather girl way? And then I'll teach you how to convert, as the old weatherman said to the young weather girl as she was new on the job. Go on.
Okay, so today's weather in Lisbon, it's looking like it might break out into a bit of sunshine, but it's also a little bit cloudy. We've got a moderate temperature of 16 degrees centigrade.
Yes. Okay.
There you go.
Double it and add 30. 16 plus 16.
Well, that would actually make it 62.
Oh, come on. We're not going to be arguing over 1 degree of Fahrenheit.
Not 61.
Okay, point of order, Chairman. Okay, so there you go. What is the Fahrenheit in Porto at the moment, please, weather girl Louisa?
Oh, 58 degrees Fahrenheit.
And
approximately.
Okay, yes, very good. Of course, it's do you think these temperatures are right anyway? Come on, it's
no, and it's roughly about 66 degrees Fahrenheit in Faro today, down south. So
you got a hang of it.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Not at all. My pleasure. 66, actually. And GuMPer, central Portugal. Look at that rain, though. Rain everywhere, it would appear, except in Faro at the weekend. A little bit of sunshine. But let's scroll down for the rest of the country. Rain, then some rain, and then some rain. Oh, and look, chuva, chuva, muito chuva, em de abril, águas mil. But also in November as well. So there you go. It's raining everywhere across the country and even in the autonomous regions, I suspect. If it's raining here, it's going to be raining in Madeira and the Azores, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, just cloudy actually in the Azores tomorrow. But look at that. Still very mild. That's what we can say about the Portuguese weather as I scroll it really fast past your eyes and cause you perhaps a little bit of discomfort, which you can make right with a little shot of Beirão Aguardente.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah.
Or your drink of choice this morning. Okay. So there's your weather. And that is the conversion that has maybe solved a lot of people's quandary or mystery about converting Fahrenheit to centigrade. Do you feel better for that?
I do. I really do. I feel like it's a much more inclusive for all our guests because, you know, they can understand what we're talking about. Oh, and Deagle's saying, it's 4 degrees or whatever it is in
Okay, all right. Flipping heck. You're trying
I mean, that would be really quite catastrophic for them, wouldn't it?
What's that? If you did it wrong?
No, if they were thinking, well, it's 4 degrees, like, like in Fahrenheit, you think it was, like North Canada or something.
Indeed. Look, and Deagle's still going. He's my heart suddenly went cold there. Looking, it was like being at school again and seeing a quadratic equation on the screen or something. Munson, what is the answer to this? No, I don't know, sir. Well, we've been doing this for 3 months now, Munson. Okay, 6.
Yeah, as a board rubber comes flying past your head.
Fine, so then 6 are the best after that. Never did me any harm, of course. Okay, let's go back. We'll keep those dad jokes for Owen later because he was pretty good last time on the dad joke challenge. I missed him yesterday, squirreled them away for later use and didn't get to them. So he has got a 6 dad joke gauntlet to run later on, and let's see if he can bring his poker face to that, or if he will just give in and giggle like a.
He's nodding and going like this. Ooh.
Bon dia, Alegria, GuMPers. That wasn't aimed at you. Owen trying to shoot those ducks out the sky backstage. Dia chuvosa e sombrio, a cloudy, rainy day in Lisboa. Then, and a deep thought. Let's pause for a moment and consider Maya Angelou's deep thought today, Mrs. M.
I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Oh,
boom! Thank you, Maya.
We say this. Yes, I've learned that people will forget what you said, but people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That is so true.
Which really bodes well for the show. Because it goes in a blink of an eye, but if it feels good, then that's good.
Okay, good. Maya Angelou was, of course, born Marguerite Annie Johnson and was an American memoirist, a popular poet and a civil rights activist. Lovely. Thank you, Maya. And Maya. Portuguese saying of the day, o barato se caro, cheap is expensive. You get what you pay for. We didn't say, actually,
Sure
I know it's
do.
a bit vulgar and gross to talk about money and bargains and stuff like that, but I think it's actually quite useful as well to know that the prato do dia, I think, was €8 that we had the other day. Not the most traditional of prato do dias, I had to say, at Paraquí, where you get an inclusive starter and dessert and a glass of wine and a body rub.
It didn't
But
come with like 3 different forms of carbs, did it?
no, it didn't. It was a
Like
little
with
bit
bread,
different.
chips, and
Yeah.
rice.
No, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. But just so people knew, it was definitely under a tenner for the main, and pretty good value. I think the family of 5 ate for under €40, which can't be bad. And all the kids, we made that mistake, didn't we, of sending them to the sweet trolley, as it were, or the fridge.
Yeah, it
Sweet,
would
and
have
they all
been it would have been around 30 if we hadn't have done that.
exactly. They came up with massive slices of
They
caramel
tapped
cheese.
us up, didn't they?
Yes, we never learn. So Oberato sai caro. That's and this came up for me the other day when I was buying diesel. The lady in the gas station said, "Do you want the special diesel? Because it was on offer." Mais barato, she said to me, and I knew as she winked at me, saying mais barato, that I was getting a bargain on the diesel there. So that word coming up again, barato sai caro. Cheap is expensive. Bargains can be dear. Caro, of course, can be used in another context. I think meo caro, my dear. Right? Have you learned that in your Portuguese lessons, Mrs. M?
Yeah. Although in my Portuguese lessons, we don't really attack the language in a sort
Good.
of like
Glad to hear it.
rational way. I'm not like doing kung fu, but we're not like going through the chapters of the A1 or A2 or anything like that. Literally, I'm learning to talk about how weird and crazy my life is in
Well,
Portuguese.
it's
So
therapy.
yeah, it's actually it's like she's giving me therapy and helping me laugh at the craziness that is my life or our lives.
You weren't expecting that, I don't suppose. Okay, but it
No,
sounds like it's
it's really really helpful. Learning to talk about, I'll say things. I don't know. We'll be talking about illness, and I'll be saying, like things like shitting through the eye of a needle or something like that.
God,
Like really talking in real English language.
did you have
Um,
to? Go on.
or coming up with real typical phrases, and we'll look
Yes.
at whether they translate exactly or not and what's closest. And
Oh, you never know when you might need that when you go in the chemist. Yes, very good. Okay. Who knew then? Established in 17th. I'm moving
but
on.
the way I'm learning Portuguese isn't to be able to just go into a chemist and do all that.
Sounds
That's what textbooks are for. I mean, I could get that from a dictionary, I could get that from DeepL. It's
good.
about
Yes.
feeling like I can express myself. That's what's most important to me, and that's
It
why it's
sounds
going
like
to
it's
take me
going
longer.
well. Yeah, okay.
But
All
it's
right.
good. I'm learning to speak it as I speak French. That's how I learned to speak French when I was living there.
What
By
kind of
just
sex?
literally throwing myself in.
Okay. Who knew then? Thank you very much, Ugo Nuno, this morning for your work here. Established in 1732, the oldest bookstore in the world is located in Chiado, a neighborhood of Lisbon, where we've stayed with Martin Yao, right? The Bertrand
I think
bookstore.
we've been to this bookstore.
Have we? There is
I think
the
so.
Bertrand, going back to, is it Plastique Bertrand's bookstore? The exterior facade is a spectacular display of mosaic tiles. Thank you very much for that, T-Duck, and your Ugo Nuno of today. And extra dad jokes, I think, by the look of that. We had the Bon Dia Tourish from the Global Nobles and their lovely footwear, and Mike and Maggie as well. And a God Score tip of the day now. Another exercise for the tummy muscles. Going back to what Mrs. M just said, maybe. Like yesterday, lie on your back. We're turtling again, I think, by the sound of it.
I'm just going to imagine doing this. Arms by your side with straight legs. Raise your feet up a little and then open the legs wide and return. Well, I imagine that would really put some pressure on your lower tummy.
Owen disappeared. He came back just at the moment we were opening our legs wide. Into the green room. Oh my God, what's going on in here? Morning, Vicar. Cup of tea. Bon dia from Stephen Wells. Thank you for that, by the way. I think that deserves one of these.
Bon dia. Alegria.
No, not one of those. Oh my goodness, I'll get the hang of this one day. One of these. Who doesn't like a rim shot when they've got the legs wide open? Okay, Ian Turner. Never go to bed mad. Stay up and fight.
That's disgusting.
Look, just move on. Don't dwell on it. Phyllis Diller. That's what I do. Never go to bed mad. Stay up and fight. Now, a bit of relationship advice this morning. I definitely go to bed mad sometimes. I don't stay up and fight like you Sagittarians do. I'm a Cancerian.
Well, my grandmother always said to me, never go to bed. When there's things that need to be resolved. Like,
right.
She never recommended that we went, that we like slugged it out or anything like that. Yeah. But she always said, it's really important that you manage to find peace. And that's why if you are in one of those horrible moods and have gone all cold and angry, that I say, I don't want you in bed with me.
I knew that was aimed at me. Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right. Monchique water, everybody. By the way, Monchique did send you a picture of me drinking Monchique water from the box in the studio. They do water in a box, But
how did you do that? Well, like lift it up?
No, I used a glass, but I was hoping that by sending them a picture to their PR department, that miraculously, hundreds of boxes of water might turn up within the next coming days. That hasn't happened yet. But Monchique water, as drunk, but as well as Beryl and other alcoholic drinks when Owen's around on a Wednesday morning. Monchique, the perfect palate cleanser at 9.5 on the pH there. A very rare and alkaline water, I think, here in Portugal. Yo, says Doug. That means we should show his yo hairstyle that he was sporting just recently. He sent me a picture of him and his new quiff, which I think goes perfectly with this comment here. Yo, how are you, Doug? Doug had a little bit of a weather report as well, didn't he? It was raining Cartera, which is a beautiful part of the Algarve, and this is how he went out. I don't think it would have lasted like this. It was a gale and there was rain. Oh, I see.
Oh, that's nice.
But it looks like the palm tree is his after picture after the rain and the gale got hold of his bonds there and blew it up into.
He's got one of those special like ponytails.
He's a funky dread. He's basically a funky dread in that picture there. Nice one, Dougie, and thank you for your 2-minute tasters, which continue, and we'll share another one of those today as well. We're fast approaching 9 o'clock, whereupon Owen will join us to celebrate a year of joining us on the show, talking about food and drink. Bon dia, Louisa. Nice glow on your face this morning.
Thank you very much, Dico.
No one ever says things like that to me. Bon dia, Criaturos. I see you chatted to Michael about footy last night. Yes, Francis, we did our primer. We'll come back to that when Owen joins us, because we will talk about getting ready for how to be Portuguese. And we have help from Owen this morning about that. And we have help from Katia Lima with 10 useful phrases to help you enjoy the FIFA World Cup. Not in Portugal, when you're in Portugal, not when the World Cup's in Portugal, because of course controversially it is in Qatar. Yep, still in the US, in San Francisco. I'm waiting for one of our visas. I thought you guys were over in Scotland recently. Fingers crossed we'll be there soon. Well, yes, you keep us abreast of. I've been talking about bosoms and breasts quite a lot this morning, and I don't know why. Global Nobles, keep us up to date, abreast of your movements, if you don't mind. I'm not tied to the kitchen sink, so Mr. and Mrs. M, may I have the link? That rhymes. That's really very good.
It's very nice.
It was only a matter of time before the 90-day rule was scrapped, says Doug. It's ruining things for Spain and Portugal as well for the Brits. Yes.
I mean, that would be interesting to see what happens. Like if Spain ditches that rule, are other European countries going to ditch that rule too?
Now, Boaz gets
I imagine.
Go on, sorry.
I imagine it will. I think it will change things.
Global Nobles, this is great news for Marty. I was so pleased for Marty. He's from Alaska, and he finally got his D7 permission last week. We're hoping to have Greg's in the next week. Greg and Amy of Global Nobles. Amy's was received on the 21st of October. Marty was 2 weeks ahead of us at San Francisco VFS. So this is everyone keeping in touch with each other with their various states of progress with CEF and VFS. Fingers crossed for you, Global Nobles. Boaz is here. Not that one, this one, the naked guy. Good morning to you, Boaz. And the Spanish can't just do it. This is why I mentioned it. Maybe they just will. They're dependent on the EU. They want to lobby the EU to change the 90-day limit as they can in any visa agreements or regulations. It's interesting, isn't it? But for example, Portugal is not meant to charge tax on imported cars as part of being in the EU, but does it anyway. So let's watch this space closely, because that will make a big difference for the Brits who want to stay the right side of the 90-day limit, which will, of course, be 180 days. It is 1 minute past 9. How rude of us not to include Owen now. Let's let him
Let's bring him on.
Bring him on!
Morning!
Hey, Owen, how are you, mate?
I'm very well. How are you both?
Pretty good. I'm going to put
really well. I love your scarf. What have you got on your head?
It's my bandana.
It's nice.
Thank
I was
you.
just trying to see what the pattern was. It's nice. It's a lovely colour.
It's Paisley-esque.
Yes, and Man City-esque as well, isn't it? A nice sky blue there.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it is that. It is that, very much so.
So
a rainy morning here in Ponta de Lima. Very rainy. 15 degrees C.
Is it?
Yes. Which in Fahrenheit, Louisa, is?
Cold and rainy.
Well, I can't even remember what it is now.
Double it and add
How
30.
do I do it? Double it and then add 30.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, 60
Okay.
Fahrenheit.
60. It's very good. You see, so nonchalant about it now. Okay. And look, I don't think Owen is too bothered. He has lovely Pont Lima from the Adega Pont Lima, a lovely Vinho Verde, which was tried at our Vinho Verde tasting. And somebody said about people going across to Spain, which of course you could do. You're not that far from the Spanish border there, are you, Owen? People are buying gas at half the price. Bottled gas is half the price. You see, what's the point of being in the EU if that sort of thing can happen as well? That you can buy gas at half price just by crossing the border, and then some wag on the Facebook group thread that I saw about that is, yeah, but we've got cheaper wine in Portugal, and you can't sleep outside with gas, but you can sleep outside if you're drunk on wine. There's a nice winter tip for you, everybody. And who doesn't like a winter tip? Oh, okay. So Ian's here. I knew people wouldn't be able to help themselves and bite with this, depending on which side of the EU pendulum they are on. It came as a surprise to many that freedom of movement works both ways.
Like that.
Hi, all from Sue's. Good early morning to you and Taxi. And Pete, the Spanish couldn't do it without agreement, which they won't. So it is rather unsurprising non-news story from the Portugal resident. Well, let's see. Let's see about that.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, I think. And maybe what they'll do is turn a blind eye. It's not as if every bit of legislation that was ever passed by every government is being enacted upon, right? I think that Spain, Portugal aren't the only authorities.
Well, I think we've heard of people being in Portugal longer than 90 days. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've met some people.
Yeah,
I mean, there are loads of people that
yes.
just kind of come over and then do thing.
We are not condoning that sort of behavior, but it happens. That is the reality, isn't it? Bom dia todos. Viva chuva. That's one way of dealing with the rain, isn't it? To embrace it. Live in la vida chuva, I guess you could say, couldn't you? If you really wanted to.
Okay. Well, I've always quite fancied being able to move between Portugal and Spain, like 6 months here, 6 months there, or having the fluidity. And
you may have that fluid. Brexit gave them the freedom not to move and trade deals that were far worse than anyone could have imagined. Well, somebody had to say it. We thought. We'll come back to that, I'm sure. I don't think that's the last we're going to hear of Brexit this morning. 12 months, a year we're celebrating with you, Owen. Can you remember the first time we conceived of you being on the show and talking about food and wine, which developed into you cooking live on the show? How did it all begin? Can you remember?
I think we've got Garbo to thank for that, actually. I think it was Garbo that suggested that we do it. I'm sure. I can't remember. I just going back to, because I think
you might be right.
It was, we were talking of the first show, which I've found was the baked beans.
Was it really?
We was discussing about the price of the baked beans in the supermarket here that was imported over, which was like, something like near enough on €5 or something for a can of baked beans. So I got into the, well, I'd actually said to Garbo that I make my own. I'm not paying that price. And I think it escalated from there.
And we did it live, didn't we? We did it live.
We did. Yeah, I think I was having a good chuckle at watching the video back last night. In fact, looking at a lot of the videos last night and this morning, having a real good chuckle about it, because it was just great being in the Austin Brothers studio doing the live cooking for you.
Legendary stuff. The amazing Austin Brothers studio in Al Viagra. Did they put you through any kind of casting couch scenario before they let you into the studio?
No.
Thank God for that, eh?
No.
So you know what they're like. Wow. And we did. I mean, we have laughed like drains, haven't we? And cried laughing doing something.
Absolutely. It's been an amazing year. Me doing that, and obviously the discovery and getting to know the Portuguese food and attempting to do my versions of. Really, it's been a really good year for me. Having to experience that and going to being able to cook in people's homes and obviously do the live show for you.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for doing it and being here, and we're reflecting on that year.
Yeah, well,
and
that's how we spent my birthday. That was very nice, wasn't it?
That was good. That was a great day, a really great day. I really enjoyed that because it's, as I say, the reason for me wanting to cook, and in particular to cook for people, is that over the years with the way that the world has changed, let's say, is that we are further and further away from the kitchen table and sitting down and actually talking and discussing anything and everything really, and that was the whole point of, well, one of the main points of me wanting to put, you know, my alchemy across, is that to have a number of people from many different places sat around the table talking about the life and everybody just enjoying each other's company.
Oh, what a lovely scene you create there. And we came to you on that occasion, didn't we, for Louisa's birthday? But that's what you do, right? For anyone who doesn't know you, you cook in people's you'll go to someone else's kitchen and cook for them and have that chat about the food. And generally speaking, I suspect it does extend to other subjects as well as the food and drink on the table and the processes that you're putting the food through with your food alchemy. I imagine that there is rich discussion about all aspects of life.
Oh, absolutely. You know, anything from politics to football to the weather, and how beautiful Portugal is as well. I think that's the most common thing that's spoken about, is that how we've all found Portugal and that spiritual magnet that it is. You know, I've met some amazing people whilst being here, and as I said way back at the beginning, is that the idea for me of doing Owen's Food Alchemy was to travel around Portugal, and I have, you know, I'm currently in the north of Portugal, which feels more like home, in particular with the weather we're having today. It's quite like Yorkshire, Manchester, with the rain. However, it is still mild, as you were saying earlier on, and that's the best thing about it, is that, you know, we talk about you know, the 300 days of sunshine that we do get here, and you know, when you do have days like this, in particular when you're here in Portugal, I don't mind it. You know, I'm going to just go back to when you were talking about "Come Down With Me" and the naked lady, and just attach that to the song "Join Me Dancing Naked in the Rain." It's mild enough to do that.
Oh, that you can barbecue.
Yeah, it totally is. Really is.
Yeah, and maybe we will extend to Deagle's request, which is that you might talk to us about an easily made Portuguese warm winter meal. I suspect we can do that today. And where have you been then exactly, Owen? I know you're in the north now and enjoying it because it's so much like Manchester. Where else have you been around the country?
Well, I've been down in Caldas. I've been in Leiria. Seta, which was, if I go back to the second show that we did, was where Garbo and I visited the fantastic butchers there in the centre of Seta, where we had I guided you around the store and just showed you about the traceability of all the products that they have there and all the wonderful trophies, sports and food trophies that they had there at the store.
Oh, yeah.
And like I say, now I'm up here in the north. I'm hoping to travel further down south and visit Frank, my old Manchester United mate, and you know, see what's happening down in the south of the country. I'm still yet to visit the Alentejo. I definitely want to go there, in particular for the wines as well. But yeah, I'm hoping to do a lot more traveling.
And available the Food Alchemist at gmail.com. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, it is.
The foodalchemist at gmail.com for any interesting offers that might lure Owen around Portugal, maybe even across the Spanish border. That would be a nice contrast as well. Wouldn't it? I've been watching old Rick Stein programs, and I love Rick Stein's shtick. I'd love to do something like that myself. If any producers, any top producers are watching, I'd love to do an amble around Portugal like Rick Stein does around, well, everywhere, wherever he goes. Just like going to the market, eating some grub, meeting an old lady and cooking with her, meeting a chef, cooking with a chef. What a lovely format that was that Rick Stein stumbled across.
He was great. That's one of the very few chefs that I followed when I was in the UK.
Yeah.
Just because of that, and just going back to that actually, because it was Rick Stein that told me about Percebes, which is the little.
Beg your pardon.
Percebes, which is it's the Spanish word. It's a little clams, the ones that look like, I don't know how to explain it really. The kind of long. But it's actually a Portuguese dish. It's actually it's more popular here in Portugal. But the program that Rick Stein had is showing all the Spanish fishermen, risking their lives on the breezy shores, collecting them. And it wasn't until I came to Portugal to find out that it was quite a popular dish here. So that's if you notice the old Cataplana behind me. So I'm hoping that for the December's issue of the Food Alchemy is that we will do a seafood Cataplana and include those in it.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
My favorite. Yes.
Do you know what? While you guys have been chatting, there have been bivalves on Carl's digestive system.
Clear the
Not
area.
good. But anyway,
are these what you're talking
there's
about?
actually quite a few lovely messages coming in for Owen, congratulating him on 1 year. I can't actually bring them up onto the screen, love.
Oh, I see. Because of that
because I've logged in differently as an experiment.
I see. Okay, let's scroll
down.
But
Dougie Hughes is saying, I need Owen when I move to Montegordo for the first few days. I'm self-catering. So you guys should get in touch.
No problem at all.
Get a kitchen, you two. And raise the clams. Not quite, are they? This is what you're talking about, right, Owen? The Percebes?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're odd-looking things. What are they like texture-wise? Are they more like a whelk than a cockle, possibly?
Carl, I've never tried them, so that's the reason for me actually doing it. So it will be a taste experience for me as well. It's something that I've always wanted to try.
What are they exactly? Are they just like?
It's like a clam. It's what they call it in the same shellfish family, but I believe they are very, very beautiful. They do, don't they?
They look like tortoise legs with little claws on the end.
I thought you were going to say something else. I'm quite glad you only said tortoise legs there.
Yes, I think I know what you might be thinking. I was going to say.
Take them off. Okay. I need Owen when I move to Montegordo for the first few days. I'm self-catering. Parabéns from Victoria. Owen on 1 year of fun food alchemy on the GMP. Absolutely.
Thank you, Victoria.
And there's at least another 3 messages above. For Owen as well.
A lot of people talking about Yorkshire this morning. I also remember the baked beans episode. We had to leave the windows. Okay, Marty, hey Owen, happy 1 year. I remember that baked bean episode. It's stayed in the memories of the GuMPers, which is quite an achievement. Because a lot of it goes in and comes straight out again. Let's face it, that's for me anyway. Have you cooked any good eats lately? I brought my knives over from Alaska. I'll be cranking out some good food soon. Are you a chef, Marty? A bit of a dab hand in the kitchen, perhaps there. Moving knives around. We need to know about that, don't we? Because people do have their favorite things that they'll be wanting to bring with them as migrants into Portugal. What do you do, Owen, when you're traveling around the world and you've got your roll of knives, which is the chef's tools of the trade? What do? You stick them in your main luggage, and can you carry them in your? You can't take them on the plane, can you? In the cabin?
Well, they could certainly be in the hold, but I lost my set of knives when I was working in the UK. When I was working on the canal barges on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal. I was working on a boat, Vicky. I was working on a canal barge that did 3-hour tours up and down the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, and I had my set of chef's knives, Magic Mix, etc. in there. And I was working on a Saturday, 2 shifts on the Saturday, and was going in on the Sunday morning to clean up from the Saturday night, to find that the boat was sold and halfway to London with my equipment on there. So it hasn't been
No way.
seriously.
Oh,
So I've just recently got myself a new set of knives, which I'm very, very happy with, along with some other new kitchen equipment, sous vide machine, and all the rest. So I am armed and prepared and prepared to travel anywhere.
That is perhaps how we can help people this morning who are coming to Portugal. The things that you do and don't need to bring with you. And I think these things like knives and Maggi mixers are quite dear to people. So let's help you with that. The things you can get here, the things you can't get here, the things you might like to bring with you. We may be able to give you a little bit of advice on that. And of course, any questions about Portuguese food and drink. A special message from Marty then. So good to hear of your progress, because it was getting pretty tense, wasn't it, Marty? Bon dia, GuMPers, wishing you well. I'm busy getting house problems fixed here near Guimarães. I promise to tune in more reliably when matters aren't so hectic. Well, we completely understand that, Marty.
And did Marty remember the all-purpose seasoning we were talking about?
Oh, Marty, there you go. Did you remember that? He might have gone off to sort his house out in Guimarães. But what a great choice as well, Guimarães. When you come from Alaska, anywhere's warm, I suppose, in Portugal. Never start, going back to that relationship advice, never start a financial discussion. Some people do like a bit of bean counting in bed, though, don't they? Let's face it.
Sorry.
Monchique water is wonderful. Mrs. M is wonderful. You've got a lovely glow about you this morning. We've got the documentary evidence of that, actually. We look at us live on Deagle's telly. Now, no one chatting about that. Do you know what? You know those infrared heaters? If anyone wants to feel warm, just warm yourself on my forehead. Put it on a large screen telly and just warm yourself on the massive radiator that is the front of my head there. I mean, if I was a toddler, I would want to get a crayon and draw on my own forehead there. That's really a big blank open space there. And there we can see Mrs. M's glow.
I must agree with you there, Cal, because if I wasn't wearing this here bandana, I would be like a chalkboard too.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a forehead as well. But
when there's a fly in the studio, you can play a game. You know, where's it? I will next time there's a fly on the studio, I will get a Sharpie and draw a circle, and everyone, anyone who's drifting off a little bit can see when the fly lands in the circle. Monchique water is wonderful, crisp and clean. Absolutely agree with you. Oh, something I wanted to. Let's do a few more comments, because I want to show you a very special pizza we encountered in the Alentejo a little bit earlier on this week. I have to say, I am shocked, Douglas Hughes. No tie, no cravat. It's true. What happened? Why is there such a great level of informality? He looks like he's going into an amateur production of Grease, doesn't he? In this, I think
it's Tintin-esque his hairstyle, isn't it?
I think it's actually quite a good look.
It is a good look for you, Dougie. Rocking it in the Algarve. Very nice. I couldn't join last night. I had a class. Oh, that was about the World Cup. We'll come back to that. We'll cover that this morning as well. Antonio F is here as well. Morning to you, Antonio. And Lord Gilchrist, of course. 3 peas in a pod are here. 2 sci-fi. And this would depend on the agreement equally to the UK. I suspect this will become a sticking point. Oh, I see. The mutuality that
do you think people are going to be fighting to spend over 90 days in the UK?
Don't be like that.
Sorry.
Owen, morning to you, Francis.
I guess there are. I mean, my mum is getting all her knickers in a twist at the moment. You know, thinking that there's lots of people arriving.
Your dad is ready with the scissors, though. Okay. Bon dia, Owen, from Antonio F. Because if she's got her knickers in a twist, nothing more sinister than that.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Explain myself there. Morning, Helen. Owen. Morning to you from Lord Gilchrist and from the Peas in the Pod and Victoria as well. What is this? What Andrew said? Surely bi-directional. He's not talking about a microphone there or his sexuality.
We're not talking about beds, are we? At the moment, we're talking about.
We're talking about the mutuality of agreements. I mean, the thing is, countries. I mean, in a way, they can do what they want to do, can't they? Isn't that an exciting thought? But and then see what happens. No, you can't do that. There need to be rules. Andrew Gilchrist, about as much chance of it happening as the UK standards, Mark. Oh, Is that a flying pig? You see, you get to find out where people are with this. And the problem is the UK has lost any bargaining chips. What do we have to offer now? Where should we begin? Baked beans, for one thing.
I think the UK's got loads to offer.
Yeah,
but
come on.
maybe we don't have bargaining chips.
With the house. This is, you know what? There were people who said, when I become an expat, I'm never going to sound like a grumpy old expat. Now, I have to say, gentlemen, some of you are sounding a little bit like grumpy old expats here, aren't they? You're just a step away from the Daily Mail here, I think. And that's fighting talk, isn't it? Bugger all. Taxi has more sense than me. He went to bed. I'm watching in the living room. It's going to be a join us, Suze.
Hi, Suze.
Also, shame on those that flaunt the migration rules. Play the game. That's sounding a bit like that as well, isn't it?
Isn't it?
It is. We've got Waldorf and Statler in there.
Tell you what, it's bringing up a lot of emotion in people today, isn't it?
Pete and Andy, get a balcony. Hey, Owen, happy 1 year. Oh, okay. Yes, remembering.
We've seen this already, love.
But it's so good.
There's a few comments coming in about your Kit Kat pizza.
Hold on. There's some talk of jerk seasoning, and I will never not read a comment that mentions jerk seasoning. Owen, congrats on 1 year. I made jerk chicken on the barbecue. It was a hit. Bought jerk seasoning at the Caribbean grocer in the burbs there. Fantastic. You've inspired people all over the world, Owen. Yorkshire. Why is he saying that?
I'm sure it's a Yorkshireman. I'm sure is he not?
Oh, I'm talking about. Okay, yeah. Shout out to all the people from God's own country.
He's also saying he made Kit Kat pancakes on his birthday after seeing the Kit Kat pizza.
We've inspired.
So he must have just had his birthday. So happy belated.
Yeah. Okay. Bon dia, GuMPers. Hola, Owen. We love your cooking and you as well, Amiga. Oh, isn't that nice?
Hello, Bob and Viv.
Owen, which areas do you cover? I suspect you.
Any. I would travel anywhere.
Is that when he's cooking?
Oh, I thought this was.
Are you wearing clothes when you're cooking?
Yeah, an apron.
Is that what he means by?
This is just this. Nothing below. That's it. That's fine. I'm warm enough.
Just a jauntily placed apron. That's the areas he covers, Darren. Kiki. Bon dia, Bob. And why do people call Yorkshire God's country? Surely it's grim up north. Owen.
No. Listen. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's Yorkshire. I mean, if I was to look out the window, well, when I do go outside when it's not raining and have a looking at the hillside and all the greenery, that's what it reminds me of. It does remind me of Yorkshire. And the Lake District. I used to always, when I first arrived here, people used to say, "What's Portugal like?" And I used to always say, "It's like the Lake District but warmer."
Yeah, definitely. I love Yorkshire. Spent a long time in Yorkshire.
It's funny, when we were driving through Fundao, my first instinct, seeing a lot of these walls made out of little bits of like all these lovely stone walls, it reminded me suddenly of the Peak District.
Yeah.
And also moving up, walls, and it also reminded me a bit of Bolton in places as well. And
Blackburn.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And Blackburn.
Bury and Blackburn.
Bury Black pudding and all that.
Oh my God, I used to work in Bury.
Darren,
that's a long time ago.
Andrew, you've a lot to learn, lad.
See, I agree. How can I agree with Darren?
Yeah, and there's nothing more beautiful than looking across the Yorkshire landscape and seeing a tea plantation, is there? Let's face it, where all that lovely Yorkshire tea comes from. It's just what a wonderful place it is. Sitting around the table and having a nice meal is not just about eating and drinking. Well said, sir. Joao F., good morning to you. A good meal is pretext to get along, talk to family, friends, and guests, and enjoy their company. This, I dare say, is a very Portuguese thing.
So can I just ask on that one, especially for Joao? I mean, I completely 100% go with what you're saying there, but the thing that is, what's the word that grinds my gears is seeing all the TV screens in some of the eating establishments, because surely that would take away from the conversation that you do have around the table. And that's hence the reason why I go to people's homes and cook in their homes, because I'd rather have the distraction of people talking to one another than a news item or a sports item or whatever soap opera that is on a television set. That's just my opinion. But Joao, can I ask, why is that? What has that always been a thing?
It's a good question. Very good question. Thank you, Joao, for being here and making that assertion. Hungry now, says Francis. Well, let's see what we can do to put you off that, Francis, with this picture. Owen, what did you think when you first saw this on my timeline?
It goes in the same bag as your takeaway places, your fast food places. That it's in the same bracket.
Yes. Somebody said it looks like pizza kitty cat, as in cat food. Or take that a stage
or
further.
cat litter.
It doesn't.
Yes, I was going to say cat litter.
That's one of the most.
It looks like an upset cat's tummy in cat litter.
I was going to say that, Louisa. Thank you.
We can all smell that, can't we? We've got, anyone that's had a cat knows that smell and look.
Oh yeah.
No, now you're not hungry, Francis. You see, we put you right off there. Isn't that great? One food that lots of people rave about, but I don't really understand, is sushi. Okay, I love sushi. I think one of the best places to buy it, strangely enough, is Il Leclerc, who have a sushi chef in the store, and they do some fantastic fresh sushi there. Owen, have you been tempted to do a bacalhau-inspired sushi possibly there?
No.
Ooh, okay, that's a thought.
What I mean, if we had Portuguese-inspired sushi, that could work pretty well, couldn't it? Certainly with a cod and rice in there.
Definitely.
And you could have natty rolls for pudding.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think it would have to be a long soaked piece of bacalhau, or just which you can find the unsalted varieties in the frozen section of the majority of the supermarkets.
Oh.
There are some cod fillets that you can buy that are unsalted. Possibly with that I would do, but certainly with the bacalhau, I think it would be very, very time consuming. Yeah, and that's just getting the soaking, the pre-soak alone.
Yes, yeah. What other?
Well, you know how they love their kind of almost soggy biscuit puddings, with a digestive at the bottom, that kind of thing. You could maybe do like a sushi after, like a dessert based on a biscuit.
No, this is
the Baba de Camello. I think one of the ones I did when I was in Leiria at the Docks place. Maybe could try something with that. I don't know, something to explore within the next year, perhaps.
It is, and that's why I do most of the cooking here, folks. Okay, and you could have wasabi tramosoish, couldn't you? The lima beans done.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, sounds good. That sounds really good.
Yeah, a question then about cooking. One thing we need is good kitchen knives. Any suggestions as to where we find them in Portugal? So you've replaced yours recently, Owen. Where did you do that?
I actually got my set. I actually got my set from Amazon Spain because I was in dire need for them within a couple of days, and I got a lovely set that was just under €200, but it's 9 knives.
And that's what you need to be spending, is it, for decent knives?
Oh yeah, at a minimum.
Are they Sheffield knives? Because we're talking of Yorkshire. Some of the greatest knives in the world came from Sheffield.
Sheffield steel.
Where are they from?
They're actually Japanese.
Are they?
Knives as well. Yeah, really, really nice, really, really sharp. It's going to be a while before I have to have them sharpened, I would say.
Very good. So there's
and luckily I still have all fingers.
Yeah, thank you for that check there. A traditional Portuguese knives from Japan via Spain there. Okay, bon dia everyone from Sarah. Lots of love to you, Sarah, and the family. Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope how things have changed in that last year, haven't they? Just, my goodness. And we must get in touch with the Extons, right? A bit of birthday celebration this weekend. Extons, bring the kids over. This sitting around the table thing reminds me of the 3 to 4 hours family Sunday lunches during my childhood. Que saudades there. Now, that's okay if you get on with your family, isn't it? But I mean, that could sound like a real torture to some people, 3 to 4 hours sitting around listening to old granddad's politics or whatever. But maybe that's just different in Portugal. And you need a slicer, not for that situation, but for slicers. What does he mean? What's he talking about? A slicer?
Maybe for ham.
I don't know. We've got a
meat slicer.
You've got a what?
Or to slice kale.
Okay.
Or we've seen kale being sliced for all their soup.
You
like
can borrow
the mandolin type thing.
Ah, the mandolin. Okay, you can borrow our spiralizer, which hasn't been used for about 9 months, Andrew. We don't think we'll miss that in our kitchen. Our air fryer is popular in Portugal at the moment. This air fryer thing, Owen, what's that all about? And are they available here?
Yes, they are. If you were to do, at least eight different ones. It's another thing that I'd like to do one day, along with the Instapots, which I have been tinkering with over the last week or so.
Ooh, okay.
Which an Instapot, I would say, would be the better investment, because not only you can fry, broil, air fry. It's a multi cooker. Let's just call it. So
okay.
maybe I'll do a little feature for that one day as well, because they are, and they're good value for money as well, definitely.
Very good. Okay, and perhaps this is the moment. Or maybe we'll play a quickie 2-minute taster from Dougie for a moment. Dougie of the Quiff down in the Algarve and the Funky Dread look. Let's play that. Let's just check. Let's have a different course for a moment, an intercourse, you could say, with a quick 2-minute blast from Dougie, who doesn't like. And we'll come back. We're talking of Instapots and air fryers, maybe a winter warmer. Are you up for that, Owen? Just to, what you might put in the Instapot for a nice autumnal, wintry crossover to warm the bones. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I've got a couple of pictures. I don't know if I'm able to share a screen with you, but I've got a couple of pictures that I've kind of loaded up of some dishes.
All right. Now, the thing with Dougie's tasters is they've all got the same cover picture. So forgive me if I'm playing. Oh, no, this is flowers. I don't think we've seen flowers before. We'll be right back after this as we continue our little Q&A about Portuguese food and drink. We haven't even started drinking Barão yet, which I'm looking forward to. Talking about some of the memories.
Coming up, I'm taking my opportunity.
She's coming to get one of those while this 2-minute taster is on. She sent me a private message. Put a video on. I need a drink.
Good morning, Portugal. Who likes pretty flowers?
That was very beautiful. Thank you. Oh, look, there's an empty room. I don't know if I can get that off the screen. Let me try that. She didn't waste any time, did she, getting up here and pouring herself a big Barão here. The fragrance in the room is fantastic. The smell of Barão. I don't know if you've got anything to cheers with, though. Did you grab something? Oh, a nice big mug of port. Okay, excellent. All right. You'll feel the heat in a minute, Darren. When my forehead warms up after a Barão, there'll be extra heat available on the widescreen. Mrs. M's glow is right next to me now. Carl and his Kit Kat pizza. and hopefully changed in a good way, Joao F, to the Extons there. I made Kit Kat pancakes on my birthday after seeing your Kit Kat pizza. See, I inspire people as well, Owen. Katia is here, and we must share okay, thank you, Doug. That was beautiful. The flowers in November, it has to be said in the Algarve. Beautiful video there. Thank you very much, Doug, for that. At least give, if not us, then give Dougie a slash on the mic button. That'd be great. And let's have a look then. As we talked about the World Cup last night, Owen, did you enjoy it? It's quite interesting, wasn't it? Talking to Michael, getting the backstory with Ronaldo, why he's got so much beef at the moment, and checking out the chances of Portugal in the World Cup. You quite fancy Portugal, don't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, as we were talking last night, and there are one or two people that know that I'm a huge, well, for at least 30 years plus, I've been a Manchester City fan, and in the past 2 seasons, we have had a number of Portuguese players in the Manchester City team. And I'm obviously being from the blue side of Manchester, or living in the blue side of Manchester. My thoughts are with Manchester City. However, Cristiano Ronaldo, in my eyes, is one of the football greats. And I think this will probably be his last World Cup. And obviously showing my loyalty to the country that I now reside in, and I'm hoping that Portugal can get there. And as we were saying last night, I think after seeing in one of the Benfica bars a celebration night when Benfica won, I don't know if it was a national competition, but it was just the whole square was just full of people, and there was red flares, as in the lips and not the trousers. All over, and everybody was celebrating, and I would love it. I would absolutely love to be in a city square somewhere here in Portugal if Portugal got to the final, just to watch how everybody's celebrating and enjoying the occasion. So although I'm from the UK, my heart goes out to Portugal, and my hopes that Portugal do well, not only because there are 3 of the Manchester City players in the Portugal squad, but for the fact that this could possibly be Cristiano Ronaldo's last, and I think it's the only trophy that he doesn't have.
Yes, it'll be amazing, won't it? So his last World Cup, and yeah, the atmosphere, as you say, the excitement as it would build through the World Cup, being in the Portuguese cafes, restaurant. That's when we're happy that there are tellies in the cafes, right? When the World Cup.
That is it. That is the only reason, because as I was telling you the story last night, is that whilst I was traveling around, probably about 3 years ago, an estate agent friend of mine was seeing some customers, and I said, "Oh, I'll just go up to this near bar and have a drink." And it just so happened that Manchester City were on a pre-season tour of the US, and I actually asked the bar, because there was some sort of soap opera on the TV, if they could switch it over to the football, and immediately they did. And then we struck up a conversation about the Portuguese players that play for Manchester City. So it was really good,
Well, the 3 things on the screen then that I think unite people, a lovely way to start a conversation to integrate into the community: food, drink, and football here in Portugal. The 3 Fs formally, what was it? Football, Fatima, and Fado, of course. Those are the 3 national preoccupations. Any of those, I think, will get you a conversation and strike up a bond between yourself and Portuguese people. Let's go back to the chat and the comments. If you've got any questions about Portuguese food, drink, or football, we can't really answer questions on Fado or Fatima this morning. Neither of us are experts on that, but I think Joao F might be able to help, and others might. So 2 Joao F from Sarah. Mostly good. We live in Nazaré now, so that's good. Just having a bad bit right now. Bless you, Exton. Sorry to hear about that. Bad news for your family. Lots of love to you from all the GuMPers here and the Good Morning Portugal community. Owen, come on, you bees. What does that mean?
I think he's talking about the last game we played against Brentford. With that, I'm happy with that, because if we look at Manchester City's record, anytime that we have a defeat, we always come back with a massive win. So our next game, you should see who we're playing next and watch the scoreline with that. That's all I'm going to say.
Is it Man United who you're
playing? No, I can't remember who we are playing now. I've just lost who we're playing next.
It's going to be big though. Okay, you'd think the Brentford team would be called the Nylons, but they're called the Bees there. Okay, and a help from Joao F for the Extons. Anything you need that I could possibly help you with? There you go. That is the spirit of the GuMPer community. Straight in there. Thank you, Joao F. Basically, we're in many ways strangers to each other. Lots of people haven't met in real life, and yet the bonds are strong. here. So thank you, Joao, for that lovely offer. Bless you, man. You're such a gentleman, and great to call you our Portuguese friend here. Kit Kat pizza is equal to a muck bifana. I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that.
You see, and that's the thing. So I'm just going to say, McDonald's, leave it.
Leave it. Don't go there. Why? Why do that? Why do
leave
that?
it to the Portuguese? Leave it to the Portuguese, please.
Now, Mrs. M's serving suggestion of a soggy biscuit pudding, I think, has caused some mirth and merriment. Stop it. Stop giggling at the back, and don't Google it, everybody. Don't Google Portuguese breakfast or soggy biscuit pudding this morning, okay? I did warn you. Owen is truly broadly known across the world. Look at this. He has recently chefed for a birthday party for 2 Chileans. For a Chilean married to a Swede. Guests included 2 Americans and 2 Portuguese as well. Delicioso. There you go.
I've actually been speaking to a family in Indonesia that watches us as well. So
really,
that's been So and New Zealand. So I'm really pleased with how far it's reached. And it's all thank you to GuMPer Expats Portugal for allowing me to do that.
Oh, superb. So glad to hear that. Portuguese already eat raw cod. So there you go. So the sushi thing could work. It's a common dish with black-eyed peas. Now there's some nice.
Where is the love?
Yes, I got a feeling. Okay. So this is talking of cooking kit. I'm used to just 2 knives, a bread knife. They're lethal, aren't they? Those serrated bread knives are horrible things. And a Chinese heavy knife. Which sounds like a Jackie Chan thing, doesn't it? A Chinese heavy.
I find that the bread knife is possibly one of the best things you can do when you're chopping a tomato or cutting a tomato.
Yes, because you get some friction there, don't you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so but that's weird. I mean, I'd watch that video of somebody preparing food with just a bread knife and a Chinese heavy knife. I was unsure, says Lord Gilchrist, as to Japanese or German for steel knives. What happened to Yorkshire? I like the Japanese artistry on the blades. Okay, so there's a little bit of some graphics. You can free graphics with a Japanese knife, by the sound of it. I absolutely love the Instapot, as it makes the best yogurt too. You talked about air fryers. Did you say much about the Instapot? And have you got a winter warmer that could be quickly made for people?
I have, and I would suggest. I don't know if I can share the screen, but definitely the feijoada, the bean stew.
Okay.
Definitely in there. You can either add a bit of pork, or even a bit of bacalhau, a bit of salt cod in there as well. But that was some really nice crusty bread, or even the black bread, Carl, that we were talking about not too long ago.
Yes, of course. That was bizarre. The black bread I had with, I think it had charcoal. It was charcoal, not flavored, charcoal coloured. It was a strange old thing. Okay, and with the Instapot, then presumably do you put everything in one go? You're not frying anything off. Is that how it works?
You can actually do. I was doing some. What was I cooking in the Instapot? It was chicken. And before I added the vegetables and the stock, I actually just put a little bit of oil on the bottom just to quickly seal off the chicken, and then everything else went in with that. I know there's a joke coming there.
There is. Come on.
Come on.
No, it's not. It's a safety message. It's not a joke. You just said put a little bit of oil on the bottom. I just want to make it absolutely clear. You meant the bottom of the pan.
The bottom of the pan. Yeah, and because they are, like I say, you can broil, you can air fry in the Instapot. So rather than just buying yourself an air fryer, I would definitely take a look at an Instapot first, because it has, I'm sure it's about 6 or 7 different functions that you can actually use. It's a real winner in the kitchen. Especially if you have a lack of space in the kitchen, it's an ideal thing to have.
Very good. A yogurt setting too. Thank you, Susan. Good morning to you and Leith. Thank you for being here. Talking of space on the worktop, should you put a bimby in there as well? Now, we still haven't done our bimby special. We need a bimby expert to come and talk about this device. Is that an Instapot and an air fryer, a food processor, blender all in one? Is that what this bimby is?
This is something that I'm because I'm a traditionalist, the old cast iron pans and everything else. So, like I say, it's only been the last few months that I've started to buy gadgets and experiment with different kinds of gadgets. when I was in Seta, if you can remember way back then, I was actually building a outdoor kitchen, restoring a wood oven and cooking in that. So I'm a bit of a traditionalist, a bit of an outdoorsy type of person. So the old wood fire and everything else. So I've just started really with gadgets. So a bimby is something that's on my radar to actually have a look at.
It's a cult. Though. It's a cult. I mean, I think
I believe so.
You have to be in a club, don't you? It's almost like a network marketing thing. They've moved on from water filters these days and now into the bimby thing, which I think is like a semi-cult, semi-club sort of style where you have to have a trained bimby expert to help you, and a bimby owner has to introduce you to the gang and stuff like that. If you are that person, come and tell us all about it. Me and Owen would love to hear about that.
Absolutely.
As well.
Philomena Friday.
I don't need the jingle because he's singing it live on the show. Hola, bon dia todos. Hola, Owen. Pouco atrasada, mas comecei a ver agora. Thank you very much, Philomena. Lovely to see you here. And have a great day, folks. From T-Duck, I have to leave early today. Much to do. Well, good luck with your errands. Sarah, just letting us know what's gone on for the X10 family. We just collected our dog from the UK. But she only lasted 2 weeks and we're heartbroken. That is awful, isn't it? Terrible news, terrible situation for you, the Extons. So nothing anyone could do, just need time to heal. We are volunteer dog walking soon. Well, if it's any consolation at all, Jimmy Choo and Peggy Poo here are available if you want to walk them. If you need your doggy cuddles, come and get them and take them out. But so sorry to hear that. The Extons, as is Antonio. Sorry to hear that the bad news about your dog, Sarah. It's always a very sad moment. Absolutely. Okay. Those were oranges, not flowers. He's being a proper point of order grump this morning, Lord Gilchrist. I think you need to join us. Go and get your Beral or your Agua or your Cheirinho, and please lighten up a little bit, Andrew Gilchrist. At the moment, the reason I'm drinking Beral, and I do want to talk to Portuguese people about the bottle, well, more specifically, that funny green plastic thing at the top. I nearly ended up in casualty trying to open this the other day. I don't know what that is. Is it a Portuguese intelligence test for expats to see if you can actually get some Beral out of it? It's on offer at the moment. Similarly with Mon Chic. Love some of you water in the studio. Beral, we're also open to Good Morning Portugal sponsorship, especially if you tell us how to open the blooming thing. And
if anybody is watching from Wharton, any sort of kitchen gadgets, bimby, anything like that, get in touch. Get in touch.
Zagresh, Superbox, but not McDonald's.
No, definitely not. Just going back to the Beral, actually, when Bob had mentioned I did the wonderful meal for my lovely friend Lillian. We was sat afterwards drinking Beral, but it was so difficult to get. Actually, it wouldn't pour, and I think there's some certain way you have to open the bottle before it will actually pour. And that is something that should have been on the Krypton Factor for those from the UK that know of the program.
Oh, it doesn't show up on the green screen.
Yeah,
that looks quite odd, actually, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Quite alien.
I should stop doing that. But I used a corkscrew to try and get this.
Yes, definitely. That's the one, isn't it? But it's a weird pouring.
Mate, in the end, it miraculously started working. Like you have to give it a shake or a special jerk, and then the Beral will start coming out. But that was so weird. And I think the first few sips had bits of green plastic in because of the damage I'd done using a bread knife. Actually, I think. But it's really weird, isn't it? The Beral top. Anyone
absolutely.
Standing by Antonio F and Joao F for an explanation on that. And at this moment, I would like to say parabéns, cheers, and thank you very much. Muito obrigado to you, Owen, for a year of service to the GMP. So next time we see you, we'll have a drink together. A little sip of this, of the cough mixture.
And just on that side note, hopefully, if I am not in a kitchen cooking on the old Cataplana, perhaps I will be in a restaurant right here in Ponta de Lima. I'm actually going off to see a restaurant owner to see if I can be a resident. So any expats that are in the area, I'll let you know how that goes. So hopefully.
Could you just hold your Cataplana up closer to the camera? We want to see what you're talking about here. Check it out. Okay. It looks like it is an extra from the Mash Get Smash advert.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So there's obviously the two clips on the side there.
Yeah.
And you literally fill it, as in put your ingredients in there, put it on to the flame.
Yeah.
And then midway through, you can just simply turn it. But literally, as soon as you put it onto the gas hob, I don't think this will be very good for an induction cooker. Definitely, I would say on under a flame.
Yeah.
But you just leave it. It will just cook. There's no need to go in and stir or anything like that. So all the ingredients go in. You seal the lids either side, put it onto the hob, and leave it for the allotted cooking time.
It's got to be the way with seafood, isn't it? Otherwise, all of that lovely seafood goodness is going to end up on a ceiling or in the atmosphere.
And you don't want any broken shell in your mouth as well, if you're using the shellfish.
Of course. So when you start stirring, you start breaking stuff.
Exactly that. So you just literally leave it all in, put it onto the gas ring, and just let it cook.
Okay. This is
kind of reminds me of the old hand pan.
Yes, you can play a tune on it after dinner. Now, Owen, if you were talking to Grandma about the Instapot, she might just say, "Oh, you mean a cataplana?" This is an old school Instapot, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. While we're talking about seafood, as we are for a moment, why Portugal? This is a bit like TVs in the cafe, right? But why Portugal do you love the Delícia do Mar so much? A lot of people look down on the crab stick, don't they, as being a bit of a cheap date when it comes to eating seafood. It's, this lovely place we went to the other day, Paraqui in Caldesterena, do recommend it, neighborhood cafe. And we had the massa do mar, the seafood pasta. It was flipping delicious, I got to say. It had pieces of prawn in it, and it had the pieces of crab stick, the Delícia do Mar. And I'm thinking, I've grown to love them now. I do. The kids and I will just defrost one from the freezer and we'll eat them like snacks. But do you think that as a cook, do you think why would the country with the most amazing seafood in the world put a crab stick in so much of its seafood presentations?
It reminds me of a Friday night back in UK where you used to get the seafood seller that would come into the store, into the pubs with the cockles, the mussels, the whelks, and the crab sticks. And 9 times out of 10, he would only be left with the crab sticks on his little tray.
Yes.
And it's always been one of those things. I only tried it once, and that's probably about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That I last had a crab stick. And it's not, I prefer the authentic crab out of the shell rather than.
And they don't call them crab sticks anymore. Yeah, because they've never seen a crab, have they? Now, I did ask Mark, who we spoke to, who lives in the Azores. He worked on those really big trawlers that are also food processing plants at sea. And I said to him, having worked on those boats, would you eat those crab sticks? And he said, absolutely, yes, I would. So they're not just the garbage, assembled garbage. I guess in a way they are, but they still of a fairly decent quality. They have to be. So I don't understand it. And Joao might be able to. Antonio F might have something to say on that because there are other answers coming to earlier questions here. To answer Owen, I'd say that the Portuguese are very family and friends oriented for centuries. Portugal has been a very rural country with almost no amenities, and people just valued each other's company. So a meal was like a meetup. 3 to 4 hours was certainly not spent listening to one person only. Quite the opposite. Everybody had his share of attention. The tradition is slowly fading away, but it still lives on. Okay, so modernity. The TV is coming into that mix. And Philomena,
we need a revival. We need a revival,
don't we? And anyway, Gilchrist, he's still, look at him. TV channels. I'm telling you, Andrew, you're only a step away from the Daily Mail. Turn back. TV channels in Portugal are crap. Turn the set off and recover the tradition. I think he's making a good point, though, to be fair there. And just a reminder, Andrew.
Oh, wow.
Margarita.
Go back to bed and start again.
He's had his feet out the window. God. And now Pete. As always, I agree with wonderful Joao F and fantabulous Philomena Pushko. It is the most wonderful thing sitting down with 50 plus people being part of a fabulous community. Yeah. Sorting the bill out is another matter. You do realise that the Magic Show is on the same day as the World Cup final. If Portugal or England go through, shall we meet to watch it first? Are they going to a Magic Show? I didn't hear about that trip out. So sorry to know about your situation with your dog there, Sarah. I've been there, truly. When my first dog died, I cried like a child. Oh, bless you, Joao. If I was inconsolable. But it will pass. Oh, bless you. Suze, my dream. My plan is to find a bungalow with a fenced yard for the dog and room enough for a long table for GuMPer dinner parties catered by Owen. Isn't that nice? The universe. Shit, please put your orders for the universe in the chat. That's how things work here. Very good. And Andy, yeah, that universe thing doesn't work. Yeah, it does.
It does. It does.
I only really watch universe is crap. Yeah, I only really watch TV for sport. Sorry, universe, that wasn't me. That was Andy. I only really watch TV for sport. I would only watch if I was specifically going to the restaurant bar to watch.
Agreed.
Okay, McDonald's hamburgers, as all fast food, is nothing but. Oh my god! Just use a sharp knife on tomatoes. That's your test, isn't it? You know you forgot a sharp knife. The tough skin. Is it me, Owen, or are tomatoes at this end of the year extremely tough? The insides of them, the core of a tomato at this time of year, and those big beefy ones, is like. I mean, I know it's like a bone almost in the middle of it.
Nice little tip. If you put you get a pan of boiling water, take it off the heat, put a little cross in the top of your tomatoes, plop it in the water for about 20 seconds, take it off, you can peel all the skin off, and it is so much softer.
Ooh, that's what we love to hear, those little kitchen hacks. Thank you for that with the tomatoes. Pete, of course, will celebrate that, so don't worry, Pete. Samurai cook. You know what? Can you send us a picture, Andrew, of you in your cape? He's got a cape.
I've seen it.
His official cape, brandishing your samurai Japanese cookware. Now that's going to make a good picture, I think.
Maybe for his calendar that he's been talking about.
Or the Man Cave calendar. There was certainly a lot of interest in that. Oh my goodness, it's 3 minutes to go to the end of the show. We haven't done the football tips yet. I'll just very quickly show you those. And I'll put the link inside the chat for you there. This is very important. This is, although it's 2018, what we have here are the useful phrases. Gola, egola, falta, penalty. These are the useful things you're going to need. It's offside. Even my granny could score that. You're going to want to use that, aren't you? It's a yellow card, a red card. I want another beer, more lupin beans, dramassage. A drama queen. That's a good thing you want to be able to check out. Referee is up. And all of these here on the guide that I'm going to share with you in the chat. And don't forget, if you enjoy those, you can buy Katia. She'd be so delighted if you've enjoyed her work. Go to that link. She makes an amazing contribution to the show every month with our Indie Thursday feature. There's a little link to buy her a coffee. Please make her day, if you will. Could somebody just buy her a coffee over on the Beyond Lisbon Katia Lima website this morning? That'd be fantastic. And use that guide, cut out and keep. It was for 2018, but it all stands perfectly well for 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And Joao F and Filomena are talking. Now, a tinha visto que falha em Portugal. Da minha parte. I don't know what that means, but I wanted to read it anyway. I hope the superchargers at Castelo Branco are done by then. I can whiz across in the electric vehicle. Sarah, thank you for all the kind words. You've no idea how much it helps. Oh, lots of love to you all. And even more here from Susan. Hugs to the Extons. Know we have all of you in our thoughts and prayers. How beautiful. Thank you, Susan. Do you know that Liqueur Berin is made a few kilometers away from my house, Philomena?
I'm on my way.
You're welcome to come and stay. We need a trip there. And then they can teach us how to open the bloody thing as well while we're at that factory. Okay. I just woke up. I'll watch the replay later. Awake part of the morning. Yeah, thank you for joining us briefly last night. I think you enjoyed a bit of football chat, Nubianette. We know the feeling, says Bob as well. Sarah and family, sorry for your loss. And from Jeff as well, so sorry again, prayers and warm thoughts for your family. And Andrew, my deepest sympathies. I couldn't imagine the heartache, but one day we'll have to say goodbye to our Alpha, and I know I'll be devastated. All the dog lovers in the house, sending love to you, and the non-dog lovers as well. All the GuMPers sending you love, the Extons. Please share that with the whole family. Crab sticks are the American cheese.
I like that.
Andrew, those factory trawlers are awful for the CC.
Oh, he's back.
Oh my, Andrew, imitation crab here is often monkfish, and they paint it pink as well, right? Just to make it to cheat you. If it's fresh, there shouldn't be a problem. Carl, I'm making some accurate points. You are Mr. What month? So
July. Has to be July.
Have you already put your name down for that?
No. It looks like he's asking me if I will. I'd love to be July.
I'm up for it as well. I haven't been invited yet, but I already positioned my Good Morning Portugal mug strategically. Yes, but I'm thinking maybe this could be more appropriate. My Beirão sangria mixer, but if it's see-through, that goes against the object, I suppose. I'll fill it. I'll fill it. Not with urine, but with sangria. Red wine. I'll fill it with an opaque substance. Okay, what month? You choose. I don't mind. I'm thinking a hotter month might be better. But anyway. Owen, thank you so much. Should we play that Pastel de Nata video again?
I think it's brilliant. Absolutely.
Do you like it? Do you like
it? I do. It made me chuckle. It made me chuckle when you posted it. A big. Let me just say a massive thank you once again to the Austin brothers for the filming of some of my cooking. A massive thank you to yourself, Cal, and all the GuMPers for your help and support, because not to go too deeply into it, but my stay here in Portugal has been kind of rocky and still is. But if it weren't for me doing the food alchemy programs and interacting with everybody, that's what's kept me going. That's the reason why I'm staying in Portugal. So I love you all, and thank you very, very much.
Oh, mate, thank you. That's lovely. Well, let's stay with the mushy moments, because we've also got the dad jokes to do as well, which I keep forgetting, but I've just remembered. But a bit of lovely mushiness while we're in this lovely love fest this morning that you're hugely responsible.
Mr. Gilchrist.
Yeah, and love you too, Andrew. Look at this. Algarve Laura, one of our friends here in GuMPer. I'm claiming her as a GuMPer. Porto Lisbon today. Did you see this? This is beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm on
absolutely.
Plane, and a foreign lady in front of me had her feet wet, which is very possible at this time of year with all this rain. She took off her shoes and warmed her feet with a big scarf. My local Portuguese neighbour had an envelope with her personal belongings. She pulled out a pair of socks and gave them, apologising that they had a small hole in them. There you go. These are the Portuguese. This gesture is what makes a great people for me. That true sense of free kindness. This is why I am staying here. Lifetime, she says. Isn't that beautiful? That little story. That is so wonderful. Thank you, Laura, for bothering to share that, because these things are important. And talking of sharing important things, here's another one. Sharing what you see, the beauty, sharing the beauty, the love. When you see something beautiful in someone, tell them. It may take you a second to say it, but for them, it could last a lifetime. So second lifetime mentioned, and how beauty and love it conquers all, lasts, is everlasting, is eternal. Love is eternal. And there we go. A bit of mushiness there for you as we move our way towards the dad jokes and the utter nata video. We might have to explain who Nata Scargill is later on. But I thought
he's a Yorkshireman.
But dad jokes. Here we go. Back to the start, especially for you then. So, are you ready for these? My wife wants to get her hair braided. I'm dreading it. No, stony faced on that one. What did the plumber say to the singer? Nice pipes. I'm not going to ask you what you're thinking about, because it'll be some special thing to keep a straight face. But let's see what we can do with this one. A guy threw a gallon of milk at me. How dare he? Very good, Owen. You have been chosen for the Man Cave poker team as well, as a result of your sterling efforts there. Well done, my friend. And thanks again for being such a legend. And we'll see you next month, where we might be cooking, or we collectively, the royal we, might be cooking seafood in the Cataplana with some of those unearthly looking percebish things.
Absolutely. Well, try my very, very best. If not from a kitchen, definitely in a restaurant kitchen.
Okay, mate. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all you've done. Let's go out with a nice round of applause for you and that Nata video. All the best, mate. And thank you, GuMPers. Have a great day, everybody.
Ciao.
Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.